Hey, and welcome to the second little adventure tale devlog. Where we last left off, we were stuck with that bug with Roger. It's caused by quitting to the main menu and then loading back into the game.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your...
So it was time to finally open Unity and figure out what was causing this. I started by dropping the prefab into the gameplay scene for the companion and then checking out the scripts attached to it. I noticed the code that loaded the companion's appearance was sitting by itself, so I moved it into a more general bit of code and hopefully that fixed things. So it was a slight refactor and things were looking good. Yeah, nah, we didn't quite get there. It's not as bad as before, but they're still not loading in properly with their customization options, as you can see. So the fix was actually pretty simple. It was actually in the serialization classes for my game. I didn't actually include the feature to load in the new companion scripts. So after adding the code into the saving part of the file and the loading part of the file, we were sweet. Earlier in the week I was refactoring a particular bit of code that sort of had a while loop that failed about 100 times, which isn't good for performance. This was the code that loaded up random artifacts from the loot table to be purchased in the marketplace. So I guess the first time I wrote it I wasn't really thinking properly. You passed a list into a method and it would random from the loot table adding to that list and sort of check maybe 100 times if it got the same thing, and there was another corresponding bug that actually caused that loop to fail exactly 100 times. So what I replaced this with is a method that first cloned the list, just because of the way lists work in Unity. If you set something equal to a list, like another variable, it will modify the original list, which is not what we want. So we create a duplicate list and then we pop off that list, randomizing from 0 to the count of it. And after that bit of refactoring, I thought, you know what, I might refactor the animation system for my game right now, because there are two actually running in correspondence and I needed to bring that up to date with the new assets I just brought in. So here I'm actually branching off my current development branch because I know I'm going to do something stupid probably, and it's going to create a lot of errors and sort of make this unplayable for a while. So here I just start to refactor the general class for the enemies. I'm removing the old animator reference and the general string that used to pass a animation they would all play. I'm sort of handling that all now in a separate class, so that's a bit more encapsulated. After fixing up some errors and saving the script, I wanted to see what kind of damage it did. After fixing those 20 errors or so, I thought, why not make all the animation based on an enum, so I wouldn't have to sort of write strings and get lots of typos eventually. And since I covered 20 errors, I didn't think this would cause any more, maybe, 3 or 4.
No.
So yeah, it turns out it actually caused another 50 or so errors, and none of the enemies played any more animations, and it caused all sorts of issues.
1 hour later.
So after a lot of time, I eventually got it all working again, and that was a huge relief. The crux of the issue was, and the enemy's turn during combat was actually tied to their animations, sort of in between each enemy taking their actions. So I managed to integrate the new asset packs and animations I got, and this is sort of the old stuff, and the next thing on the list to fix was for WebGL builds. For whatever reason, the skeletal animation for the Unity 2D, in the version of Unity I'm using at least, seems to cause a fair bit of jank. The enemies that use this were the slime enemies, and they would just sort of stretch and not be there at all. This was fine on a mobile build of the game, but regardless, I sort of redid it, and that was actually pretty fun, and I was happy with the result in the end. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing okay, and there's actually a build available to play on the web. The link will be in the description. Thanks very much. This is just something funny I did. Well, I found it funny anyway. This is what the bandits look like when they don't load in properly, on the off chance that happens.